been using the AirPods Max since mid-December on pretty much a daily basis, and unlike most reviewers who have just used them indoors, back in December I went to Romania to see my family and I had a chance of using the AirPods Max on my flight as well as in some other loud environments and really test out the noise cancelling. So here are my final thoughts on the AirPods Max. So get those snacks ready and enjoy. Now, as a disclaimer, I am not an over-the-head headphone person. The only over-the-head headphones that I've used were the Beats Solo 2, the Audio-Technica M50X, as well as the Audio-Technica M70X, both of which are actually studio monitor headphones, so they have a fairly flat profile. Also, I've only used those for editing or watching back or videos. I pretty much never used them for watching movies or for listening to music or podcasts, but I have actually used the AirPods Max just for that. So for someone who's been mostly into in-ear headphones, more specifically the AirPods and the AirPods Pro, the AirPods Max have impressed me in a lot of areas, while also disappointing me in some other areas. For me at least, when I look at a pair of headphones, I have 4 major things that I care about. Number 1, sound quality. Number 2, comfortability. Number 3, noise cancelling. And number 4, the battery life. When it comes to the sound quality, there are pretty much 3 things that most people will care about. A, vocals, B, acoustic range, and C, distortion. In terms of vocals, I'm actually a pretty big podcast listener. Like, I listen to at least an hour of podcast every single day, and the AirPods Max sounded so good that a lot of the times it gave me the impression that the person speaking was actually there. I tested this with Waveform, NKPHD's podcast, the Joe Rogan podcast, as well as the Diary of a CEO, and I was just blown away by the sheer clarity coming out of these headphones. The AirPods Max sounded as good as the AirPods Pro sounded in comparison to the regular AirPods. The acoustic range was also very impressive, as I was able to hear sound from as low as 10 Hz all the way up to 15,000 Hz. I could then kinda hear up to 20,000 Hz, but the sound was very quiet, and yeah, it was not that great above 15,000 Hz. However, my Audio-Technica's M50Xs could actually go from 10 Hz all the way up to 20,000 Hz, and overall, they sounded noticeably richer. Now, I'm mainly a podcast listener myself, but I do of course listen to music too, and what I've noticed with the AirPods Max is that when you're listening to alternative or classical music, so essentially genres that have a lot of background instruments that aren't that loud, well, I was actually able to hear all of those instruments perfectly separated from one another, which was pretty insane. And I tried the same thing with my AirPods Pro, and all of those instruments were basically gone, or they were so quiet that I just couldn't tell them apart from the loudness of the main beat. It's one of those things where the AirPods Max kind of give you this 360-degree feel, where if you close your eyes, you can actually imagine the orchestra just being in front of you. So yeah, they're pretty impressive. However, the AirPods Max were noticeably quieter than the Sony XM4s or the Audio-Technica M50Xs by about 20 to 30%. And because of that, I found myself that a lot of the times I had to almost max out the volume on the AirPods Max. And the Sonys did actually have more kick in terms of the bass, if you're into that. It's just that the bass was indeed distorted at high volume, whereas on the AirPods Max, it was not. Overall, great in terms of music, especially for alternative and classical. Other genres like techno and electronic, which I actually do listen to the most, were really good too. It's just that alternative and classical was where I could really see them shine. It's just that, like I said, I feel like I can hear more by using the M50Xs than when compared to the AirPods Max, which do cost more than 3 times more. Now, I have tried using that 35-pound Lightning to 3.5mm headphone jack cable that Apple sells separately, and it's fine. Like, the cable itself is super thin and just screams low quality, and unfortunately, I haven't really noticed any major difference when compared to using these via Bluetooth. Something interesting is that if your AirPods Max have battery left, noise cancelling would actually work while using the cable, and you can also use the dial to adjust the volume, which I found super strange, as you also have the system toggle. So here you need to make sure that the dial on the AirPods Max themselves is set to max, and then you can further adjust the volume on the device that you're listening from. But don't get me wrong, if you're looking for Bluetooth headphones, these sound absolutely incredible, and if you're coming from the AirPods Pro, you'll definitely be able to tell a major improvement from them. Fun fact, I've had the AirPods Pro since November 2019 when they came out, and I've actually used the AirPods Max more in this single month of use than my AirPods Pro since I got them. And that's simply because the usage is different. For me, the AirPods Max are indoor headphones, as I almost never use these out on the street, but rather when watching a movie or listening to music or podcasts at home, as especially for movies, they do actually sound better than even my 7.1 surround sound system. And that's because of spatial audio, which works so well, but unfortunately, at the moment, it only works on an iPhone or an iPad. However, you can try binaural audio clips such as Tucker Zone, which is a one-of-a-kind experience. I left a link for that in the description, by the way, and you don't need spatial audio to experience it, or even AirPods Max. So definitely give it a try. I promise you that you'll be blown away. Now, I have had some connection glitches where the AirPods Max would connect to a device, noise cancelling would be activated, but then they would have this weird humming noise and no other audio could be played on the AirPods. This happened to me about 6 times. And the only way that I found to fix this was to put them back into the smart case, leave them there for about 2 minutes, and then take them out and they would work properly. So really weird. But overall, I'm very impressed with the sound quality. It's just that they're still not as good as a decent pair of headphones, some of which are noticeably less expensive than the AirPods Max. Now, in terms of comfortability, they're fine. So, like I said, I've never actually used a pair of over-the-head headphones for more than maybe 30 minutes at a time, but that definitely changed with the AirPods Max. Back in December, I traveled to my home country, Romania. This was before the whole second strain of COVID, by the way, and I used them on my flight, on my train, as well as on the road, probably for more than 12 hours continuously. And they did actually get super uncomfortable and heavy, but that was because I was also wearing a face mask. I would say that maybe after an hour of use, I did start noticing that they were quite heavy, not on my head, but on my ears. And I had to constantly readjust them, but they were never unbearable to wear. Of course, the fact that they're built out of aluminium and stainless steel means that while they're probably the most premium Bluetooth headphones on the market, they're also the heaviest. You can adjust the headband quite a bit to improve comfort, but it's quite unfortunate that Apple doesn't let you tilt the ear cups inwards, as this would have made traveling much easier. Now, since we're already talking about the design, I gotta say that you can probably tell how inspired Apple was by the Apple Watch design when designing these. Not only do we have a digital crown as well as the side button for noise cancelling, but the headband at an angle kinda looks like an Apple Watch strap. But it's not perfect. The ear cups end up bumping into each other when they're out of the case. Also, they're a pain to use while you're doing housework, as the weight can easily get them off your head if you're doing any sudden or unexpected movements. And they do feel like an extension to your head all the time, so do expect to bump into things when wearing these indoors. And because of that weight, they're also not usable when working out, as they will just jump around even on the tightest setting. Not even to mention that they're not water or dust resistant in any way. Speaking of that, there were a few reports that condensation appears after extended use. I have checked that, and I can confirm that this actually happened to me as well, but it wasn't anything major. If this does end up being a major issue, I'm pretty sure that Apple will launch a large-scale replacement program, but for now, I haven't seen any reports of AirPods Max breaking because of condensation. And then we have noise cancelling. So the AirPods Pro had an outstanding noise cancelling, although not the best for in-ear headphones. However, the AirPods Max do seem to have the best noise cancelling of pretty much any over-the-head headphones on the market right now, at least according to most of the reviews. Now, from my quick testing against the Sony XM4s, the AirPods Max did a much better job at cancelling unpredictable audio, such as talking, honking, or anything like that. And when it came to predictable noise, like airplane noise or just outdoor traffic, the Sonys seemed to do a slightly better job, but not massively better. Still, when I was on the airplane with these, I managed to take a few very good naps, only thanks to the AirPods Max, as they managed to cancel out almost everything around me extremely well. Not only that, but when I arrived at our home in Romania, there were a lot of dogs in the area since we live at the outskirts of a city. There were probably around 20 or so dogs around, and at midnight and all throughout the night, they were barking like crazy. And I'm not even kidding, the only way that I actually managed to get some sleep was by using the AirPods Max. So for 2.5 weeks, pretty much every single night, I slept with the AirPods Max on to cancel that loud dog barking noise outside, and I managed to cancel every single bit of it. So yeah, really impressed. Outside of noise cancelling, we also have transparency mode, which uses the 9 microphones inside of this to capture and redirect audio from the outside. And this is probably what impressed me the most about them, the fact that you literally get 360-degree audio inputs, and it honestly felt like I didn't even have them on. They were that good. And finally, Apple promises 20 hours of battery life out of these, and I can say that I've gotten pretty much just that when I was traveling. Now, when you're not using the AirPods, you can either leave them on a desk or on a stand, and they will automatically go into sleep after 5 minutes as long as the accelerometer doesn't detect any movement. The only problem was that 7 out of 10 times my AirPods Max didn't actually go into sleep properly. I've had quite a number of incidents where I had about 60 or 70% battery life at night, I went to bed, leaving them outside the case, and by morning, they were at 10% or so battery. Now, my theory here is that this is because of the ear cups. You see, the ear cups are removable, but the proximity sensor cutout is only on one side, meaning that if you accidentally put them upside down, the proximity sensor will be blocked, and therefore the AirPods would always think that they're on your ears, and they won't turn off. So double check that the ear cups have the left and the right symbols pointed downwards. But yeah, there have been quite a few reports of this, so I'm hoping that Apple releases a software update, if this is a software issue indeed, to fix this as soon as possible, as it's just not acceptable to have such a poor and unreliable battery life on very expensive headphones such as these. You can also put them in this really awful smart case, which is not smart at all, by the way, as it is just a flimsy iPad-like cover with a magnet inside, which immediately puts the AirPods Max to sleep. I've never had any issues with the AirPods Max not going to sleep when they're in the case. It's just that the case itself is such a bad idea. Like, instead of doing this whole case that barely protects your AirPods, Apple should have just added a power on and off switch. I don't know, maybe like the one we have on the Apple Magic Keyboard or the Magic Mouse, or at least release a software update that lets us turn off the AirPods Max by using a button combo, such as holding the crown and the side button. Yeah, come on, let's do it, Apple. Okay, so in the end, the real question is, should you get the AirPods Max? And I would say, for most people, no. Like, imagine if the AirPods Max came first and then Apple released the AirPods Pro, a much smaller version of them, with all the same features, just with slightly worse sound quality, slightly worse noise cancelling, and slightly worse transparency mode, but fairly close. The fact that the AirPods Pro are so much smaller, so much more portable, and they also come with a better battery life if you count the case, and they're also cheaper, well, they're overall so much better than the AirPods Max. So in that case, who are the AirPods Max for? Well, if you want an extremely premium pair of Bluetooth headphones for watching movies, listening to music, or podcasts indoors, while also easily connecting to all of your Apple devices such as an Apple TV, Mac, iPhone, iPad, and so on, then there's nothing else that's better than these. And this is why I've actually kept mine. But let me know in the comments your thoughts on the AirPods Max, give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and definitely subscribe for more in-depth tech videos like this one, hopefully was. But yeah, this has been pretty much it for this one. I'm Daniel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Zen of Tech, signing out. Cheers.